Welcome to another masterclass. This is the Masterclass Theater, and today's masterclass is all about email marketing tips to transform prospects into profits. Now, my name is Alex Mondosian, and the one thing I've learned over the past 25 years doing digital marketing with marketing online and other properties is that it's the same thing that makes a good business great. And that one thing is profitable prospecting. I usually don't like to use adjectives. I prefer verbs over adjectives, but profit is a verb, but a profitable prospecting campaign means you are making money, turning a stranger into a prospect, into a customer. Now, we call it suspect, prospect, customer, and you don't have to call them a customer. You can just call them a buyer, and a buyer is someone who spends $1 or more. So if you go to iTunes and you buy a song for the first time, and you spent 99 cents, you now became a customer or member of iTunes. Now, what is profitable prospecting with email? Well, let's define what email marketing is. What is email marketing by definition? Now, I know you know what email is intellectually. I know you experience email. You probably get a lot of emails you don't even read. I recently was eavesdropping and looking over the shoulder of a good friend of mine, Randy Garn. And I was at a two-day intensive with my good friend and colleague and mentor, Harvey McKay. He was in Phoenix. And I was sitting in the front seat. My friend Randy Garn, who I've known for many, many years, was sitting next to me. And I looked at the number of unread emails in his inbox, and there were over 200,000. Now, how do you make sense of that world? I can't. But I guess he just checks the ones that are coming in. Why not delete them all? What good are they? That is not email marketing. Okay, email marketing is not sending an email out to one person and asking them if they would like to meet with you on a Zoom chat or on the phone or on Skype so that you can conduct a strategy session or a clarity call or a discovery session, whatever you call that. That's not email marketing either. Email marketing isn't sending out an email to your entire list and saying, hey, I'm just starting to do email marketing. Contact me and see if you'd want to join my database because you don't have one yet. That's not email marketing either. Email marketing, my definition, is the consistent connection with you and someone else's email who's given you permission by opting in to something of value to them, enough so that they gave you their email address. You don't even need their first name. Many people don't put their real first name. You just need their email, and hopefully it's their primary email. And email marketing is the consistent outgoing and engagement of emails that you have with people on your list until they opt out. And you can make money when they opt out as well by making an offer on the opt-out page. So it's not the end of the world. It's a way to generate more money. That's what I do with marketing online. So that email marketing is the consistency of not only building and growing a list, but emailing them each week. If you don't email them each week, you will get more spam complaints because they won't remember that they were on your list because they're on many other lists as well. Okay. And email marketing is getting them to engage with those email touches or digital touches on the shoulder, just a tap on the shoulder saying, hey, this is important. You have a from line, you have a subject line, you know what that is. But email marketing is the ability to get as much engagement as possible. If you have a list of 1,000 people and 10% of those actually open your email, you're doing good. If you get 20 to 25% of those people just to open it, which means 80 to 75% of the people are not opening it, right? That's doing really, really well. So email marketing is one channel of marketing that you can add with multiple channels, such as snail mail. I love postcards, such as phone calls, such as Messenger, such as Facebook retargeting. Email by itself won't work to the best degree it's possible to work unless you add other channels of communication. Like, hey, I just sent you a postcard. You received the postcard. It says, check your inbox on this date. All right. Now that will get more email open because it's a physical postcard. I've done that before. So I'm going to attempt to do that again and again, hopefully monthly and then weekly after that in the next year, because I want to do multi-channel marketing in a more comprehensive and consistent way. So email marketing is having a list on email and constantly connecting with them at least once a week. Some people do it every single day. Okay, why is email marketing important? At this moment of the digital marketing evolutionary phase, I started online 1995, which makes me BG, is what I say on stage, before Google. Digital marketing has changed. Now, more people would open emails than they do today. More people would click through, but an email, the response and the engagement has gone down for me as a BG marketer over the years. However, email is still the fastest and easiest way for any digital marketer to connect and to generate interest once someone has opted in, permission-based, not spamming. Are you with me? So email is still the workhorse of the digital marketing world. Will that eventually change? Well, yes, it's changing right now. Right now, it's still it. And I believe in mobile marketing because I do a lot of that. If you're on my mobile text list, then if you're in North America, you'll get notice of the Friday live Facebook shows I do every week, which is 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. East Coast time, every single week, whether I'm in the office or not. So I already do some multi-channel marketing there, both text and email, and both work together to raise the tide on your marketing, online or offline. But why email is important? Because it's free and it's fast. And if you know how to do it, let's say if you had 52 of the most time-proven subject lines in the past 12 months, would that be something useful? Would you want to know what those subject lines are? Because subject lines are really agnostic. They don't have to do that much about your message. If you wrote a subject line, "This is about you," okay, that's a subject line that gets opened. That's a little headline. It doesn't have to do anything to do with the message. I don't like the subject lines that run off the subject line area because I can't read it. And a lot of people write long ones, even really smart people and people who make a lot more money online than I do. I like short ones that get attention. I was taught that by Joe Sugarman, a great copywriter. I like short is better when it comes to subject lines, but it's up to you. I'm going to give you 52 subject lines that hopefully will work for you in the future. They've worked for others, and that's a gift if you stick with me by the end of this masterclass. If you're reading it, you can go to the final pages and see it. If you're listening, you can fast forward. If you're viewing it, stay with me. And even if you're reading or you're listening, because this masterclass does get repurposed, then I want you to take notes as these action cards come up. Now, how is email marketing different? Okay. How is it different than other forms of marketing? Well, first of all, it's still free. You may have to pay for a tool in order to deliver that email, whether it's Aweber or Infusionsoft or Entreport or any one of the MailChimp, any one of the email marketing applications, Constant Contact. I've used many of them. I use Infusionsoft. The deliverability is getting less and less. So marketers like me, we complain about that, but there are ways around that because technically there are certain things you can do to pay more to get it delivered. When you're first starting, don't worry about delivery as much as what your messaging and the consistency is. If you've been doing it for a while, then worry about delivery, because just because you're sending the email doesn't mean the internet service provider is allowing it to go through, and it really does impact your open rate, because if they never got it, then they didn't even see your subject line. I'm not trying to paint this very dark picture of email marketing. I just want you to define the truth and understand what reality really is. You want to build a list of fresh people who come in to your world, and that is cold prospecting, and profitable prospecting through email makes it so that you can have a payoff and get more cold people to warm them up and get them to the boiling point to buy something from you. So what are 3 counterintuitive prospecting strategies? 3 counterintuitive prospecting strategies to quick email profits. If you want a profit, you want it faster, right? Everyone's going to make $1 million in their lifetime. US dollars. Everyone will make $1 million in their lifetime. It may take you 50 years to do it. It may take you 40. How about 30? How about 20? Well, 20 is better than 40, right? 20 years versus 40. 20 years is $50,000 a year. How about in 10 years? That's $100,000 a year, right? Well, how about in a month? I've done that. How about a week? I've done that too. How about a day? I've done that as well, December 2006. How about, and I've done it in other days as well, but that was my first time and that was very memorable. How about in less than 29 minutes? I did it with two other partners, Rick Raditz and Armin Morin and me. We did it. It was awesome. 29 minutes. We did it through email marketing. It wouldn't have been possible without email marketing. We emailed a list. They came to a teleseminar. They purchased the first generation of what is now ClickFunnels and lead pages. It was called Marketing Makeover Generator. This is in 2007. I wasn't really big doing anything on Facebook or Twitter or anything back then. They were just young platforms back then. But today, all that has changed. There was no Facebook Live. YouTube barely was moving forward with YouTubers and having video online. We brought audio online for the first time. Rick, Armin, and me. It's called Audio Generator. That was in 2003. We brought video before YouTube in 2004. In 2007, we launched Marketing Makeover Generator. It was a perfect storm, $1.2 million in less than 29 minutes. Now that is the way you accumulate wealth. It's about speed, money buys speed. So if people study with me or if they're going to study with someone else, the money you're paying is ultimately going to buy you speed so you get there faster. Everything I teach is available on the net, I suppose. But through my experience and through the mistakes I've made, I take all the stuff that doesn't work and give you what does work. That is the essence of continuing education. So what are these counterintuitive strategies? Okay. Well, here's the first one. The from line is more influential than the subject line. What does that mean? That means that the from line, where it's coming from, has more influence to that person opening the email than the subject line. Well, how can I test that? Well, if you have the greatest subject line and they don't know where it came from, they being the prospect, then you are spamming them or they think you're spamming them. Or if you've changed your from line and you are sending them an email from a from line that they're looking at first, they're first thinking who, and then they're thinking what. Now, you don't have to believe a word I say. It's true, whether you want to believe it or not. Test it. So if you change the who, and a lot of people change the from line, my from line stays the same. You got an email, most likely, inviting you to this Facebook Live if you're watching live. Now, if you're watching or listening or reading in the members area, then you get emails from me, obviously, for the emails that go into my membership area. Look at the from line. It never, ever changes. So keep the from line the same. The biggest mistake you can make is changing the from line because the subject line doesn't matter as much. Remember this, first who, then what. People look to the left, usually it's on the left, right? Who's it from? If it's from my sister, even if it's block copy, a stupid joke I'd never want to read, I'm going to read it because she's going to call me the next day. You know, she's the fruit of my mother. Did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Now, she doesn't sound like my mom yet, but I'm sure she's going to get there, right? Did you get it? So in order to avoid the, no, sorry. Why not? I sent it to you yesterday, right? In order to avoid that pain as her brother, I open up because I see it's from her, right? Subject line doesn't matter. So from line, more important than subject line. That's counterintuitive. Number two, the open rate percentage, right, is I'm going to say is more influential. Sometimes when you write these action cards late at night, you don't know what you're writing. Is more influential. I'm writing it now. If you're listening, then you must think I'm nuts. If you're reading, you think I'm even more nuts, but we'll enhance the transcript. That's why we have a content manager. So here we go. Now you'll always remember it. The open rate is more influential than your list size. Now, I'll say, guys and gals, with email, size doesn't matter. Okay. And then I'll get ha 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 because of the innuendos, right? Okay. I'm not going to say that, although I just did, right? But with email, the size of the list will not be as profitable as the open rate or engagement ratio of the list. Like if you have a list of 1 million and you have a 0.1% open rate, which I've seen, not a very engaged list. Why have all that wasted, digital litter in your inbox or on your database? And it's going to cost you more money as you send out a lot more email, because it does go up. If you have 100,000 and you go to 1 million, it's going to cost you more to have that delivered. It will through your internet service provider or whoever's doing the email broadcasting application that you have. So throughput, people will get charged for, and you will as well. But if you have an email list of, let's say, 100, and you have a 50% open rate, which is very doable, especially at 100, the rate automatically goes down as you get more and more because you get more intimate. But with those 100 people, you could call every one of them in a week, right? 20 a day. So that's an intimate list. I have seen sub lists of emails with 50% or more open rate. Okay. And so 100 with 50% open rate means that 50 are actually opening it up and 50 are ignoring it. Yet that 50 is about 2 to 3 times higher than the normal open rate you see with a list of a bigger size. If you have an email list of 1,000 and you have a 2% open rate, which I've seen, that's 20, right? 2%. Then you're not as well off as having 100 people. So don't go for size. When people say, well, how big is your list? That's what I always hear. I still hear that. I'd rather hear, how engaged is your list? And then the response may be, I don't know. What do you mean by that? Well, what's your typical open and click through rate? Because not only do they open, but they got to click through. Focus on engagement. That way you move away from the whole size thing, because when you're looking at how big the list can be, you don't feel adequate if you're still at like 100 or 250. Go for engagement. See, if you're going for the size of the list, then you're going to do things that are less intimate to get more people on there. And I'd rather you have 100 warm people than 500 cold people. Are you tracking with me? I'd rather you have 100 warm people and 50 hot out of the 100 than to have 500, even 1,000 cold people on the list. So very, very important. Now, key point, content is king. Email engagement is queen, and it's the queen who rules the house. Now, I'm pulling this from a quote I heard from a good friend of mine who does a lot of Facebook advertising. She's been on my Friday show as well. And content in the email is king. You've heard that. Content is king. But it's the engagement that's queen. If you think of the game of chess, the king is kind of old and decrepit, right? One move at a time. The queen is going woo, woo, all over the place, if you know chess, right? And if you lose your queen, then you really are decapitated. Now, once you lose the king, you've lost. But if you lost the queen, it's very likely that the king is going to go as well. So content may be king, but the engagement is the queen, and it's the queen that rules the house. Now, I want you to type that into Google and see who said it. And I may run a contest, because I may be doing these quotes, because I didn't say that first. Someone else did it, and she's a good friend of mine. Actually, she has a testimonial at marketingonline.com. She is a Facebook maven. And if I get the right answer, I'm going to give $10 for the first person who guesses it. And Stephen G. Harris says, Mari Smith, Stephen G. Harris, make sure you get with Leo Fernandez, and you get your $10 from, I'm doing $10 instead of 100 because my general manager, Sandra Bravo, says, hey, if you give less, you can give more. So forgive me. I know it's near the holidays, but you're getting $10 you didn't have already. We'll do it through PayPal and make arrangements with Leo Fernandez. Now, if you are watching this in the members area, if you're listening or if you're reading, you will not be seeing this. So there's no point in me saying it, because my content manager will be taking this part out because it has zero relevance to the masterclass part, which is repurposed. There's another tip right there. That's why it pays to have a content manager to enhance the transcripts, because the transcriptionist that is at rev.com, that's who we use, $1 per minute. They'll just transcribe everything, including what I'm saying right now. But now as I go into the masterclass, this is where the content will continue, and I'm giving my content enhancement person, Jessica, at the time of this recording, so she knows when to get started. All right, let's continue. All right, eliminate emails, okay? Emails not clicked for 30 days or more are not engaged prospects. So you want to eliminate those people who are unengaged. Eliminate the unengaged people. What's unengaged mean? Unengaged means they haven't done anything for 30 days. If you've been emailing them once a week, at least, or twice, or 3 times a week, and for 30 days they haven't clicked, you know who they are. Your application will tell you who they are. They need to go into a re-engagement pattern, which my online manager, John Marino, at the time of this recording, does that. And so the re-engagement is different than the actual engagement. Now we have to put them into another funnel, and it's very simple. There are already ones built for you. If you have ClickFunnels, you can buy a re-engagement funnel from the marketplace. You know, I don't know why people try to create their own funnels. There's so many at the marketplace. You can just, you know, kind of jimmy rig and make it work for you. I told that to Russell Brunson the other day. And so I may be on an interview with him to discuss that. Work with something that already works. When I say re-engagement, you may say, Alex, I don't even know what an engagement campaign is. Well, great. Re-engagement campaigns are alive and well. They are there. Don't email their list just because it's free. Imagine each email cost you $1, just like direct mail, snail mail. Would you be constantly mailing those people if it cost you $1 a piece and you got no results? That is not profitable prospecting. That is non-profit prospecting. And I'm not talking non-profit as in a foundation. I'm talking about you're not making any money. You're not making any profits. So get them out of your main list. It's okay to make the list smaller. You just want engaged people who are clicking within 30 days. If they're not clicking, they're gone. You are not communicating with them in a way that is exciting them enough to click. All right. And subject lines have a lot to do with that, along with the from line. Just because they haven't opted out doesn't mean that they're engaged. Now, here's a key point. Multi-channel marketing boosts email click-through rates always. What's multi-channel mean? That means if I text you something and you're on my mobile texting email or my mobile texting database, and I say, look for the subject line that says, well, if I'm going to send an email after I mobile texted you, the chances of them watching and reading that text is 10 times greater than them opening up the email. That's called multi-channel. If I sent you a physical postcard because you're part of my inner circle, and I say, I'm going to send you an email on this day around this time, look for the subject line that says this. Will that increase the response rate to that email? Of course it will. That's called multi-channel. That's another marketing channel. Now, do people do this? Yes. Does it work? Of course it does. In fact, on the postcard, you say, if you don't want to wait until that day and time, then you can go here now. So on the postcard itself, you can have them go there. And a postcard is physical, and they will go there if it's right for them. Now, what are other channels? Mobile texting is one. Snail mail postcards is another. I love postcards because postcards are, ready? Naked mail. They're not clothed in an envelope. I like skinny dipping postcards. No clothes on, right? I like to be sending out mail that I don't have to worry if the envelope is going to get opened. Why not already have it opened? You know, email's different. Snail mail with an envelope is different, but naked mail is what a postcard is, because anyone can read the message. Facebook Messenger, another channel you can utilize. And then what's a confirmation page? That's the fourth one I'm showing you today and talking about. A confirmation page is also known as a thank you page. Let's say someone just took action. They opted in. Okay. Well, if they just opted in, why not on the confirmation page have an indication of what the email from line and the subject line is going to say, right? Don't put a link there. Let them open up the email, because once they open up the email, now you have power, because now chances are they're going to get you out of their junk or spam folder. Sometimes the email scoots into there, and they what's called whitelist you. They whitelist you so that they're getting emails in their normal inbox, which they're going to read from their phone over 50% of the time anyway. So longer is good, but you want to make it mobile optimized, which is not as big a screen as a laptop, a tablet, or a desktop. Okay, so a confirmation page is confirming an order, confirming an opt-in, confirming an action. Those who see the confirmation page are much more valuable than those who see the landing page. A squeeze page or an opt-in page is important, but not as important as the confirmation page, because the confirmation page is typically 50% or less, sometimes more, of the people who saw that landing page, whether it's opt-in or not. So if the confirmation page is saying, hey, look for the email, there's a little surprise that you're going to get. You might even want to do a video, and letting them know. Make it so that it makes it easy to get their attention and have them be on the lookout. I like to use the subject line, because when they see the subject line, now I've connected the channel of a thank you page. That's another channel. That's on page, to the off page channel of email marketing. Now, I hope you are tracking what I'm saying, whether this is meaningful to you or not, wherever you are in your the growth ramp of your business. If you're a startup or you're a veteran, what I'm teaching now, this masterclass, is all about principle-centered strategies. So these strategies will work 10 years from now, because multi-channel just means, hey, if there's another way you can reach them to remind them, then do that as well. Engagement means the more that they respond to you in an audience, they're going to respond to what you say, maybe run to the back table of the room, maybe raise their hand for an order form. On a webinar or on a Facebook Live, they're going to respond by telling you what city they're from or answering a survey question. That's called engagement. That's going to be there forever. So nothing will become obsolete on what I'm teaching you. How about 5 costly mistakes email professionals, those are the people who know what they're doing, including yours truly, are guilty of? What's guilt mean? Well, to me, it's a worthless emotion, but it means I know what I'm doing wrong and I still do it. I know what I'm doing wrong and I still do it. And in the world of marketing and business growth, digital marketing for sure, many of us know what we're doing, and we know we should be doing something else, and we keep doing the thing that's not working as well, such as not focusing on the cold customer funnel, the cold traffic funnel. That's what I'm guilty of. I know that that's important to me. I know that that's life-changing. I know that I will affect so many other lives, and I know I'm guilty of it because I know it's important. I've done it. I've even done it for others, and I haven't completed it for myself in recent years. Okay, now I can give you a bunch of excuses as to why, and probably I could persuade you with some good rationalizations as to why, but I'd rather make a public confession that if I'm doing it, and if you know me, and you know that I mean what I say, then I'm hoping that you do it as well, and you avoid these things. And the first thing is relying on email exclusively. Now, I don't rely on email exclusively, but as you become an email marketer, sending 1 email per week to the same group until they opt out or more people come in, right? That's the definition. I hope you don't rely on it exclusively. Many marketers do. And the ones who rely on lumpy mail, sending you packages in the mail to their best customers, I get socks from friends of mine, like really wacky colored socks. I mean, it costs a lot of money to send it to me. Or maybe a letter. Wow. Go figure. Actually, through postal, a letter. Or maybe mobile text. Or maybe a phone call, right? Relying on email exclusively is a big mistake. Number 2, not having email re-engagement offers. Now, I insinuated this earlier. If someone hasn't clicked the link or opened an email in 30 days, and you don't have to check yourself manually, whatever program that you ultimately use will do that for you. Well, if they haven't engaged with you in 30 days, then get them into another funnel to re-engage them. Now, you don't have to wait 30 days to find out what my re-engagement funnel is, but I'm going to give you one of the ethical bribes that I use in my re-engagement funnel, which are the 52 subject lines that have worked best in the last 12 months. That's a re-engagement offer, because people who are interested in email marketing or digital marketing, that will be some really good bait for them to opt into. And once they opt in, now that they've engaged, right? It's a multiple pages. You're going to get it for free, and you will see what my re-engagement lead magnet, as it's called, or ethical bribe, or bait, like I like to call it, is all about. So re-engagement is offering them other things, because what you've been offering them has not worked to get them to engage. Not emailing the list at least one time a week. Man, you will get more spam complaints if you take a week off. You got to email at least once a week. Twice is better. Do you have to always make an offer? No. Can you teach? Of course. When I, at least once a week, at least, usually more than once, I make an offer to come and watch a free Facebook Live masterclass, which eventually is repurposed into the masterclass theater of masterclasses that I have in the members area that people pay for, which is a part of Guerrilla Business Online as a bonus, or is a standalone offer that people can purchase. And those masterclasses came from my Facebook Fridays Live. There's over 120 of them. They're evergreen, and they all have a call to action. Like, I'm going to give you a call to action to get the 52 subject lines at the end of this masterclass. And that email is bringing you into a free training that other people will pay for it if they want it spruced up, enhanced, get the audio and the written version of it. Now, I think that's a fair proposition. So the more people I have on my Facebook Fridays Live, the more reach I will have, the more shares I will have, and the more sales I will ultimately make. And it's a great way to build a business. Have a weekly show, because the email reminding people for the weekly show is not a sale. I'm not selling anything. You want to coach with me? Well, you can't coach with me anymore. I'm not doing private clients anymore. But if you want to coach with our Guerrilla Business Online mentoring team, then you could get them at 5% of what you would be paying me. Instead of $100,000, you're going to pay $5,000. And we have payment plans. Now, I just made a soft offer, which I was not planning on, whether you believe that or not, but I'm glad I made it, because you don't have to sell something. You can actually just make a statement on your weekly show, and the email going out to invite people to the weekly show is not soliciting anything but content worthy of devotion, if that's what you deliver. I believe that's what I deliver. I never have imposter syndrome, because I always prepare, for my shows. So I never have imposter syndrome. Sometimes I grapple with dinosaur syndrome, which I think is worse. That means, you're old and you're not relevant anymore. But then I have my friends remind me that that's not the case, and I don't think that they're just trying to make me feel good. So I don't have imposter syndrome, because I am constantly prepared. Now, I had a woman stand up at a VIP luncheon at Jack Canfield's One Day to Greatness event, and I've done 8 One Day to Greatness events. I get paid to be his master of ceremonies. I manage the energy there, and emails are sent out to bring people into the event and to invite them. They pay $200 to $400, and the VIPs pay about $400. Now, at lunch, a woman stood up, very friendly, very enthusiastic, and I would put her in the underachiever category of where her mental state was. I think an overcommitted underachiever, like she commits to a lot of things. She's very excited and passionate, but she never has really reached the level she wants to reach. She does well, but she doesn't do great. So she stood up, and Jack Canfield, my partner, colleague at this event, it's his event, and she gets the microphone and she asks Jack, she says, "How do I overcome imposter syndrome? I'm sure we all are aware of it." And she tried to engage the whole room. And I'm thinking, time out. No, let's not talk about everyone else in the room, because I want to stop the imposter process right now. someone else may not feel they're an imposter. If you feel you're an imposter, let's talk about that. So she corrected herself. And that, you see, because that's part of the thing. Like, hey, who else wants to be an imposter with me? Well, no, I'm not an imposter. I'm not an imposter. So don't start telling other people that they're imposters as well, right? Because that's the easiest way to believe that you're one. So anyway, we stopped that. And I said, the easiest way is to set an intention and to know that you know what you're talking about. And even if people know more than what you're talking about in the room, there will be always someone who knows less than you do. And you don't have to be so far ahead. You just have to be 1 week ahead of what they've learned, right? That's all you have to do. The guy, Frank Abagnale is his name. He was Catch Me If You Can. He taught physics in high school or college. I don't remember. I read the book and I saw a speech he gave. People ask, you've never learned physics. You're not a physics professor. How do you teach physics? He said, well, I just needed to know what to teach and be 1 week ahead of my students. So that's what, and he was an imposter. He was an imposter. And even he's a world-class imposter. And that's the way he, ended up being as successful as he was. And then he went to jail, and then the FBI hired him to look at bad checks because he was really good at creating them. If you saw the movie Catch Me If You Can, Leo DiCaprio is the actor in it, but there's a real Frank Abagnale. He was 1 week ahead of his students. I want you to take on that same role as an imposter. And the reason I'm telling you this story is she set an intention, like you can set an intention to be an email marketer and to have higher engagement and to do multi-channel marketing with email. You can set an intention. And she set an intention not to be an imposter or to be the real deal, to be the real deal. So guess what happened? Fast forward, and just before the break, after lunch, now this was at lunch, just before the break, that woman had Jack Canfield pull a raffle ticket out of this basket with 600 other raffle tickets for her to go to his $4,000 Breakthrough to Success 5-day event in Phoenix. We gave it away for free. I helped design that day. And so as we're giving away for free, people are getting excited about it and they're listening and they're hearing, what's involved in it. And so they'll go back and they'll buy it even if they didn't win. But this woman who was afraid of being an imposter actually had Jack pull the ticket out. And of course, I couldn't imagine that that's what happened, but it did. And so I made a big deal of it on stage because I gave her gift and she took a picture with Jack. And that's how fast the power of intention can work with you. It's knowing what you want. So she set the intention and we pulled it out with 600 other people in the room. It was mind blowing. Now, the next mistake is not segmenting your email database. Now, not segmenting means engaged people and unengaged people are in the same list. So those are two segments. Engaged, they interact with you within 30 days. Unengaged, they don't interact with you within 30 days. So those are two separate lists. You got to talk to them differently, right? There's also people who have said yes to an application, and that application took about 20 minutes to complete, and that's for your high-end clients. If you have any, every business has a high-end database or should, right? Then that's a different segment as well. Now, do you mail the engaged people and the high-end people at the same time? You could, but do you email the high-end segment different things and talk to them differently? Yes, you do. Do you email your customers differently than you email your prospects? Of course you do, but many people don't do that because email is free, yet it's a mistake. That's the easiest way to get a lack of engagement. How about not having an opt-out offer? You want to see my opt-out offer? When someone is about to leave me, that's not the end of the world. That's the beginning of a new era. If you go into marketingonline.com/opt-out, okay, if you type that in your browser, marketingonline.com/opt-out, you will see my opt-out offers there. That's when they're leaving me. They may be upset, but they have energy. They're engaged. They're engaged in a way I don't want them to be engaged. So I send my JV partners my problem children and make money off of them. So you want to monetize your problem children? Put it on your opt-out page, because an opt-out page is a very powerful page and it's wasted. You should monetize it. Again, that's principle centered. Here's a key point. Subject lines do not need to edify your email's call to action. That's what CTA means. What does edify mean? It means to give life to give credence to give credibility to. Your subject line could be something completely different in just getting it opened. You could put wet paint, open up, and that'll get it open. You can say, hey, it's, put in your name, please open up. I'll say, hey, it's Alex, please open up, right? Sometimes I'll say, frankly, I'm puzzled you did this. Okay, what did they do? Well, I talk about it in the email, but that subject line is not edification for what's about to happen. So the two can be completely separate. You don't have to connect them all the time. Now, here are 4 engagement tactics to convert your browsers into buyers. What's a browser? Well, when you go to Google, you're a browser. When you go to Facebook, you're a browser. When you tweet on Twitter or retweet, you're a browser. When you go to LinkedIn, you are a browser. But when you go to eBay, when you go to dummies.com, when you go to Amazon, when you go to magazines.com, when you go to ClickBank, you're a buyer. Now, you could argue, well, I'm browsing before I'm buying. Yes, but the time frame between browsing and buying on eBay is much shorter than browsing and buying on Google or Facebook, right? So here's one great way. And you're going to get a bunch of my re-engagement ethical bribes or lead magnets so that you see what I do. So a checklist is a great way to re-engage. If you go to marketingonline.com/PSS, those are persuasive selling sentences, you're going to get 46 trial closes. I learned this from my good friend Ted Thomas, and I just took it to another level. Trial closes for digital marketing on a virtual stage. You can't say, raise your hand if you agree with me. You say, type in yes in the chat if you agree with me. Are you with me? So digital and physical are 2 different things. I give 23 persuasive selling sentences. That's what I call them, because Ted Thomas calls them trial closes. I call them persuasive selling sentences. I do 23 for the physical stage, 23 for the virtual stage. You can make up your own. That's a great way to re-engage, is having a checklist. I just gave you an example. Next, an application. If you go to marketingonline.com/intake, that is the application for the $5,000 guerrilla business online that you would go through over the course of 6 months to a year. Now, you're not automatically qualified. In fact, you're evaluated. You go through a strategy session. You're evaluated. You take the intake, you apply, and then we take you. Now, we will take most who apply because the application itself you wouldn't go through unless you felt you were qualified. And the only thing is not being able to pay the $5,000. It should be $6,000, but we may raise the price in 2000 in the next year, because that's what I'm being advised. But it's $5,000. It's 5% of what I would charge the coach personally, one-on-one. So we believe that it's a great gig, and they get the Guerrilla Business Online course as well. So that application is a great way to engage, because they are filling in very specific questions in order to pre-qualify for a strategy or discovery session that's going to last about 30 minutes. How about a video e-course? Well, that's engaging. Like if you want a free video e-course that sends you to an application, although you don't have to click the button to go to the application, you get the whole course without needing to go to the application. See how we use both? We multi-channel market. Marketingonlinementor.com. It's a 4-part video e-series. The first part talks about the shift in digital marketing, as I'm talking about right now. The second part talks about your messaging. How do you create a message that is irresistible? The next part number 3, is the market. How do you define your market? How do you identify the market? And then the fourth part is the media. What media must you use? Email marketing is one of them, but what other media forms could you use? That's the 4-part series. And you can go to Marketing Online Mentor and it's all yours. Okay. And then next, our weekly live shows, which I do every Friday at 12 noon Pacific, 3 p.m. East Coast time. And if you go to marketingonline.com/Friday Live, then you'll see the invitation online on Facebook of where to see me. And you'll get that masterclass for free, which is incubating, buried inside of two other parts. The first 10 minutes is engagement. The final 10 minutes is about ahas and takeaways. That's only for the live people. The people who see it and have to pay for it will get the transcripts, the audio, and the enhancements. And the video is also enhanced as well, professionally. And that goes into the members area. Now, the re-engagement magnet for today, right now, are 52 time-tested subject lines. That's what SLs are, subject lines that email marketers wished you don't have. Why? Because I have borrowed them from very successful people, mine as well, and we call that research. Because when you borrow from one, that's called plagiarism. When you borrow from many, that's called research. Now, if you're in North America, take your mobile phone out, and in the message area where you're going to write a message, just write the two letters SL. That stands for subject lines, SL. Now, you're going to send a mobile text to 415-980-3555. 415-980-3555. That's if you're in North America, and you'll immediately get a link to those 52 subject lines. Now, if you are in outside of North America, right? And most of my viewers are outside of North America, which is Canada and the US, then that's marketingonline.com/SL. Marketingonline.com/SL. Now, the key point, and we'll close with this: email marketing that is treated like snail mail engages prospects. When you press broadcast or send or whatever that button says, and you are actually pretending that each email that's going out is worth $1. It's costing you $1 to send. So if you have 100 emails, it's going to cost you $100. Now, if you believe $1 is too much, make it 10 cents. Doesn't matter, but make it something. And would you have sent that email out? Would you have built a list of unengaged people if you had to pay for all the driftwood or the dead unengaged people who were there? And by the way, it's easier to give birth than resurrect the dead. Okay, that's a network marketing saying I've heard for 30 years. What does that mean? Instead of trying to resurrect someone who's dead, give birth to a new baby, which means re-engage them and give birth to that new opt-in and new engagement through a new offer. I gave you 4 offers, and they're all free, so that you get to see what re-engagement looks like. My name is Alex Mondosian. I hope our paths cross again soon. Remember, marketingonline.com/Friday Live. You and I can meet one-on-one or one-to-many in a very private and intimate training setting on the masterclass of that day. I hope our paths cross then.